concluding our day of talks is Yehwan Song. She's a coder and designer who comes to a digital technology with a sharp critical eye and investigates the many knotted ways in which tech shapes our creative practices. We are particularly fascinated by the way she turns her attention to ideas of supposed neutrality and standardization and considers how to transgress the static and templated web. Based in Seoul, Yehwan pursues multiplicity rather than consistency and challenges the notion of user-friendliness and efficiency online. In our increasingly networked times where we can have hybrid events like this one, but also a time where large tech conglomerates monopolize and control our collective data and digital spaces, we're excited to hear about how she critically engages with our online lives. So welcome to the stage, Yehwan Song.
Hello, my name is Yehwan Song. First of all, thank you for having me and thank you for being here. I am a web artist, designer, and developer from Seoul, South Korea. So I make a website. So I'm a web designer, developer. I make a website which usually goes inside the screen on the mobile devices or like a screen or inside the web browser. I design stuff that goes inside the stuff. And if you are in the design field, if you think about web design, you might imagine things like this, which is kind of like a very much template based. There's like a structure that you need to follow when you are designing the website. It's kind of like an image that people usually have about the web designer and developers, or like something like this, which is again very much about like the templates and the structures and like a user experience, user interface kind of thing. We also kind of like learned that we need to use this kind of like a conventional like a logo or the icons when we are designing the websites, which is something that I use it to do as well too. As a web designer, I need to follow this structure so that like user need to know like how can they use the website. So if I follow the like a similar template, then user can find like what they can do in order to find the information in the websites. So I need to like use this kind of like icons, conventional icons and web designs to like let users know like what you should do when you are in this website. So this is what we say like a user-friendly strategy. If you search the term user-friendly in Google, you can find something like this. If something, especially something related to the computer, is user-friendly, it is simple for people to use. So it's about like a easy, straightforward, simple design. As a designer, keep designing this kind of like a user-friendly website. I kind of felt like, is this something that I really want to do? Or is this something, as a user, is this something that I really want to use? Like, if I use the user-friendly websites, I can find the information easy and fast, but like I kind of realized myself that I'm keep repeating the same gesture or the user experience all the time without thinking or without like really like recognizing what kind of content that I'm watching. Even further, like this kind of like a Web3, which is a machine readable website, which kind of like machines and algorithm recommend the stuff that you want to watch, you need to watch next. Is this environment is something that I really want to use as a user, or I really want to make as a web designer and developer? And I started to feel like, is this something that I really choose? Is this like a web environment is something that I really choose, or is this just I use because I don't have any other options? The architect Cedric Price said, technology is the answer, but what was the question? Was the quote that really triggered me to rethink about what is the user-friendly website and why do I keep making the same template-based user-friendly websites? So that was the reason why I started this project called Anti-User-Friendly, which is about unuser-friendly web environment. This is the note that I wrote when I first started this project called Anti-User-Friendly. The concept of user-friendliness focuses on ease of use above all else. I ask as little of the user as possible in order to achieve this most website and the standardized design and interface conventions that don't require a user to learn how to use the new interface. Instead, users repeat the same behavior that they've been trained to do. The automatic repetition of the action causes people to lose their content awareness. So in anti-user-friendly, I construct hard-to-use devices and interfaces in order to challenge the notion of user-friendliness and bring back the content awareness. So what I'm doing under this user-friendly project is not about like, anti-user-friendly project is not about like user-friendly website is wrong and we need to change the entire web design field, but it's more about, right now we don't have any other option. So like, through this anti-user-friendly project, maybe I can expand the spectrum of web design so the user can have the option and choose what they want to, what kind of website that they want to use as a user. So I started this project called Anti-User-Friendly, which is about like intentionally make an environment, hard to use environment. For example, like this, which is the website that you need to like rotate, like put your finger on the top of the finger on the screen, and then you need to rotate the device to read the content. Or something like this, which is the website that uses each circle, inside each circle, there's like a web camera, but I just put like a small time gap between the circles. So like you need to actively move your body to read the text inside these circles. It's just called move to read. Or this is called rainbow behind clouds, which I just change it the shape of the marker of the Google map. This is called very responsive, which comes from the strategy, web design strategy, responsive website, which is about like you need to keep the same design and brand identity, even though in different screen ratios. So even though user uses different devices, user need to see the same designed websites. And I just intentionally wanted to like change that concept of responsive websites. So this is very responsive websites. This uses similar structure, which you can read and use the website in only certain ratio when you fix the screen in only certain ratio. And this is about the scroll bar. You need to put scroll bar in certain position to read the text inside the website. This website is called Mountain Everest Scroll Bar because the scroll bar looks like a Mountain Everest. I was imagining how can we bring back the texture when we only use these flat devices. So this was an experiment about that. So anti-user-friendly project is not actually only about like making annoying websites, but it's more about like how can I like expand the spectrum of web design. I was thinking about like the devices that we use to use the website, such as iPad or iPhone, smartphone. And I kind of love these devices because first we use our fingertip to like activate and use these devices. I love the fact that fingertip is something it's really like emotional part of our body. Like we can express so many emotions using our fingertips. And also, I love that these devices is something that is not fixed. We can move it around and go to street. So this can be like a movable, this is the movable devices that we can use. And from those two factors, I kind of felt like maybe I can use this device and maybe I can develop the website is as an expansion of the physical space because like it's movable. So like maybe I can make a website that is only for certain location. For example, like this, which is the, this project is called Today I Walked. So this is like a extension of the physical space. Especially for this project, I made it during the in the middle of 2020 when we were all locked down and we were not able to go out. And I was like, I really want to go out and take a walk. Or we can think of the sky and make like a virtual sky with a small plane, like a toy plane. We can also think about the physical, like architecture or the structure out there and make a website that is inspired by the structure by connecting several different websites using database and then like use different mobile devices and make like a one picture. Again, this is some like a trial about like how can I change this flat surface and make it more like an architectural or bring back the texture that we usually have in the physical space. I even made like an aquarium. Not only like an extension of the physical space, I was thinking maybe this can be, maybe I can make something in between physical and the virtual space using fingertip and the interaction. So this is a project called obviously Hey. And I uses the typeface here. I love using typography and typeface when I'm making an interaction because like once we use the something readable, then the gap between readable and not readable is kind of like a huge. So like if you find some piece of the typeface, then you're trying to like find the other piece of the typeface so then you can make it readable. If that makes sense. Anyway, this is a project called Hey. And then this is called The Way We Touch Each Other in 2020. I was like really bored during the quarantine. So I made this project actually with my friend who lived in Canada at that time, and I was in Seoul. And we were imagining maybe we can make like make like a situation that we can touch each other using mobile devices. Again, I kind of found that like fingertip is like a very emotional part of our body. So if one user touched the screen, then the virtual finger shows to the other user's screen. So two people kind of feel like they are touching each other using mobile devices. This is called Don't Touch because it's touch screen. Tired of being touched. Today I worked, and this is the desktop version of the Today I Worked. And I loved using different way to connect virtual and the physical using sound for this example. And I kind of, at one moment, I kind of felt like I'm bored of using fingertip. So I started to make like an extra toy for the websites, for my own websites. So I started to make like a web toy or web tool. For this one, I use it typeface to make an interaction. On the other hand, this one is called sorter, which I just use it, the icon. And if you, once you touch the device, the web toy on the top of the screen, then it sorts the icons based on the color. For the previous example, I was able to work with the gallery named Foundry in Korea, and we made like a full wooden web toy, which works like a similar structure. And for this one, I use it joystick. Yeah, so I was thinking about like a touch screen and fingertip and like a movable devices. And I tried to change the user interaction and kind of like broaden the spectrum of web design. And again, I was thinking about the website, the web browser and the websites. There are like many different ways to use the websites, but like we can think of the website as a container of the content and information, because like we usually use the website to go inside and find the information that we want to find and put the information that we want to share. So websites can be a container of the information and the content. And if you think about the physical container out there, there are lots of different containers with different shape depending on what kind of liquid or the content that it contains. For example, like this hot sauce container is something that, like, this container intentionally make people hard to pour the hot sauce on the top of the pizza, for example. So it's kind of like it's hard to use the content because obviously people do not want to pour their hot sauce on the top of their pizza. So there are some containers that is intentionally hard to use depending on the content. Maybe content is dangerous for the user. So maybe we can think of the website that is intentionally hard to use to protect the user from the contents. That is like something that I can imagine if I think of the website as a container. But if we think of the website that we have these days, we don't really think about, even though the website can be a virtual container, we won't really think about the content inside the website when we're designing the websites. We more likely think about the user. How can we make a user-friendly environment, or how can we make a friendly interaction between the user and the devices? So I started to make the website that I started to remove the user from my brain and focus on the content inside the website. So I started to make the website that is 100% focused on the content rather than the user. So this was the website, a series of the website that I've made so far from that concept. So for example, this website is something that I created during the summer school called Easy Urbino Berlplatz Typography Summer School. It's a summer school that have like roughly around 10 years of history. And every year students at the end of the summer school, students need to submit their final output as a A4 format, which means that they have like a large archive of student outputs in an A4 PDF format. So I thought like maybe I can make a website that kind of like visually shows the student output so that people can easily navigate and find the right PDF when they want to find the student archive of student output. So I made this website, which have like a huge 3D cylinder on the landing page of the website. As you can see, the sliced side of the cylinder shows the thumbnail of the PDF. You can drag it as if you're dragging the Google Map and see the other page of the thumbnail. And the rounded side represent the ear, so then you can click the ears and go to the ear that you want to see the PDF. And this website is directly connected to the Google Drive. So if you click one of the thumbnail, then you can directly download the PDF from Google Drive. This is the other page of this website. This is other project that I work with Lima Media Art in Amsterdam. They wanted to create, it's a art museum that have done like a lot of digital art exhibitions, and they wanted to create this website that archives the net art and digital art from 1960 to 2000. So this is a website to archive the artists that they have that have been exhibited in Lima Museum. But at the same time, they wanted to archive the artists, but at the same time, they want to talk about like a curatorial backstory. Why did they choose this artist, and what was the context of this exhibition? So there are two different information. One side is about like an archive of the artist, but the other side is about like a backstory of this archive and curation. So I made a website which is rotatable. So once user enter the website, user can see the archive of the artist, but still user can rotate the website and read the backstory and essays of the curation. And this is the sitemap, which is my favorite page of this website. I also thought like maybe I can make some other effect on this website. So I made this landing page, which is like an archive of the artwork as a thumbnail, but I made this kind of like a distortion that you can easily see when you're using a projector on the wall. Like if the wall have different structure, then you can see this distortion. I thought like maybe this works well with the context because like this archives the digital artwork, and at that time we use a lot of projector to exhibit the digital art. This website is I made this website for ORGG Open Recent Graphic Design Festival that take place in Seoul, South Korea. This is about like archiving recent graphic designer and graphic design scene that is happening in Korea. It happens every year. And I was the participant of this artist of this exhibition, and I need to make a website at the same time. So this website works as a general website. On the left side, as you can see, you can scroll the website and click the post and like read the details of this exhibition. But at the same time, since this exhibition is about like archiving recent graphic designers, I made this website captures itself every 3 seconds and archives itself on the right side. So you can see that like website captures itself every 3 seconds, and you can still click one of those archives and go back to the previous stage of the website. This is just an exhibition view. For this website, which is like this, is a website for future school. it was an exhibition as Venice Biennale. What was the name of that? Venice Biennale Korean Pavilion. And the theme of the Venice Biennale Korean Pavilion was called Future School, which is about like imagining what kind of like, what's the shape of the future school. And they like invited lots of artists and the designers in Korea to imagine about like a future shape of the school. And I made this website as a classroom. The concept of this website is that it uses Google spreadsheet as a database. So which means if anyone go to this Google spreadsheet and change the information in there, then that change is directly applied to this website, and anyone can change the shape of this website. I was thinking about like a classroom, which like the classroom cannot be a classroom if there's no like a decoration or the effort from the students. So like the space only with the desk and the table cannot be a classroom. But once there's like a student and once there's like a artwork outputs decorated on the wall, and like once you need to feel like the aesthetic and like a vibe of the student in the classroom. That is what I believe what classroom should be like. So I also made this website, which is the classroom, made this website editable for the people, for the others, all the people others as a student, as a user. So user are invited as an user of this website, but also a developer or the person who can change this website. So that was the concept of this website. This one is a website called Word on a Wire, which was the hybrid exhibition taking place in China, Korea, some other places in the world. I work with Rhizome of New Museum and Hyundai Motor Studio. This is a website, generative website, which means if you enter this website, even though you and your friend enter the same website with the same URL, website generates itself every time when user enter the website. So like you are not able to enter the same website twice since it's generative website. So as you can see, like as you explore the website like reconstruct itself and changes the shape of itself. And this is the mobile view of the same website. This is part of the Future School project. I made this summer school website. This summer school is about like an architecture, thinking about like, how can we make an architecture, future architecture, etc. So I made this website, which has like you can use like a general website, but if you drag the website, you can see the architectural shape of this website. Once I made this website as a 3D form, I have 3 different faces. So I put like a Korean information in one face, English information in the other face, and I put poster, the identity of this school on the top. This website is for Seoul biannual. Again, it's about like an architecture biannual. For this website, I just wanted to make a website that kind of like changes its shape as exhibition goes. So like during the exhibition, I install like a small cameras here and there, which kind of like captures the exhibition place every day, which means I have like a new data coming from the camera every day during the exhibition. And from that image, I was able to create this kind of like an architectural shape. So I have 5 different new images coming every day. So I was able to make this architecture shape one architecture shape every day. And I ended up making this website, which is like a small town of these images. On this website, I work with only IFA Museum, Art Museum in Germany, and I made this website, 3D-ish website, which depending on the category of the information, I put the different category in different depths of the website, if that makes sense. So if you go one step deeper, then you can still go left side or the right side. You can see the information from same category, but if you go one step deeper, then you see the different information from different category. And this website, I just keep updating this website, so there are lots of variation of these websites. This is what the website, lots of websites. This is the website that I made for exhibition called Hybrid by Nature, Human-Machine Interaction. As you can see, go back. Okay, as you can see, it's like an infinite tunnel that mixes the content as user scrolls down. The concept of this website is like a mixer of the content, since it's about like a hybrid and human-machine interaction. So I just wanted to make like this huge collage and the space that mixes everything. So this was the sketch that I sent them at the very beginning when we were talking about the concept of the websites. This is the exhibition. Again, this is the exhibition website, and the exhibition was about like a time and like the verse that represent the time. So I made this website, which looks like a clock once user enter the website, but user can click the detail page and then it kind of like rotate the clock and shows the details on the another side of the clock, another face of the clock. And since it's originally a clock, you can see the detail page kind of like scrolls, automatically scrolls, based on how the time goes. And again, architectural websites. So these are the websites that I've created, not thinking about the user or user-friendly or web design templates, but only focused on the content and the content structure. So then user can immediately feel like this is what it is about, or this is the structure of the content. After the COVID, obviously, we all feel like we are moving to this like a virtual space, and we need to hear like lots of terms such as like a metaverse or like a virtual space, virtual exhibition or virtual event. And I do think a lot about like this virtual space as well too. And I received lots of requests to make like a virtual, whatever the space to do whatever, like exhibition or whatever kind of thing. And I do think a lot about like, how can we make like a virtual environment or virtual space? By the way, this is the place that I live. It's the center of Seoul called Gangnam. I used to live this area where there are like a lot of media screen, and there's like a lot of like lights and like a lot of crowded people. On the other hand, this is the picture that I took when I was in Urbino for the summer school. It's a small town, small city in Italy. And this is the picture that I took in London. Obviously, all of these spaces looks different because we are in a different country and we have different culture in the background. I do think a lot about like a virtual space or what space means for us. And for me, like the space is not the thing that one person can make and invite the others, which we usually do when we are building a virtual space. What I imagine for the space is something that people who are using the space need to build a space all together, and the space need to represent the culture and the background of the people or the aesthetic of the people. So I think that is like a huge problem when we are dealing with a virtual space. We kind of like forced to like make a perfect virtual space from one developer or one developing company, and then invite the people to use this space. And people are not feel like this is like a my space, but like renting the other space and kind of like just enjoy the event and leave. So I just wanted to make like a new virtual space that is built by the user of the website. So I was lucky to do this workshop with the INTL, do this workshop, which is like an experiment to build collectively build one website together and collectively build a virtual space together. It's similar to the previous example. We started to use Google Spreadsheet as a database to build a virtual space. I love the Google Spreadsheet because like there's like a function that you can collectively edit the sheet together. So this is just me clicking the archive of what we did during the workshop. I invited around like a 30 workshop participants in one Google spreadsheet and let them to click around the Google spreadsheet and see what kind of shape we can collectively make during the workshop. And then after this simple activity, you can see like we split it into a group. So each row is a group. And we started to make a website together. Each group will talk about the concept of the website, and they kind of like create their own website from their concept. So each group ended up making this sort of Google spreadsheet, a collectively built Google spreadsheet. And then I connected. There's like a function that you can export the sheet data and connect it to the website. So I connected it to the 2D website. So this is the spreadsheet, and this is the output of the website that is collectively built from the Google spreadsheet. And then we ended up making this 3D space. You can see like the details of the colors and structures. So this is the virtual space built by 30 participants of the workshop for 3 hours. So like after every people were joined this workshop and made this website together, they started to feel like this website is their own website, and they kind of like protect this website or not intentionally trying to like keep this website safe and not destroy this website because like this is the space for them and they build this space. So like that's what I think that what we need to do when we are building a virtual space or a hybrid space. And from now, I just want to show you extra experiments that I did under this anti-user-friendly theme. This theme is keep going. This is ongoing project, so I'm trying to like figure out what kind of direction that I explore further under this theme. For example, this is the physical installation of the website. So the original website have like a lot of pop-ups, and I just installed this website in the physical space. And as you can see, there's like a small mouse wandering around inside this space. This one is my favorite. This is another installation called web surfing. As you can see, the websites are surfing on the water. None of these iPads are working now. So like I kind of feel like website can be anywhere, and this can be a physical object at the same time, but also can be a virtual space. So like I just wanted to like expand the possibility that we can do, we can do using this web code and websites. This is another trial. I just wanted to bring the website outside of this square frame of the devices. So I use it projector, and once user put their hand on the projector, once the image is on the top of your hand, then the website is activated, and there's like a small virtual human coming out from the sun. So I was imagining maybe website can be like outside of these devices and have the freedom. Lastly, I just want to share like several posters that I've made. This is a very initial project that I did, very beginning of this anti-user friendly, and kind of like wanted to make something interesting using web code. And I realized these mobile devices have this virtual ratio, which is similar to the poster. So I was imagining maybe I can make like a tangible or touchable interactive poster using these devices. So I made like a series of touch posters. And these are the last project that I want to share. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was really interesting. I think there's time for some questions. Anyone want to start? Hello to the online audience too. I think. Oh yeah, I have one here.
Hello. First of all, my mind is blown, so thank you. I was wondering, how do you experience when you're starting a new project? How do you find the communication when you have an idea and convincing someone to follow your vision all the way through? Because I guess how we see it at the end is maybe not how they imagine it without the things they want to put it. How is that communication between you and the people you work with?
Yeah, that's something that I struggle all the time whenever I have a project. I first talked about the concept and then make a website from that concept. So like I share the concept in a written form. So it's more about like verbal communication with my client or whoever get me whoever I need to communicate to for the project. And then I just make like a lot of trials using code and the visuals, and then we just select one from that lot of trials. So like it's about like a lot of sketches and selection from that sketches. But like most of the time, my clients or whoever want me to make a website don't expect lots of communication, because like it's more about like experiments. So they usually give me more freedom to explore as far as I can, and I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Anyone else? I have one then. So you mentioned that you were really interested in thinking a lot about physical spaces, and you were showing images of 3 different cities that all looked very different from each other. So I was thinking now with globalization, and when we all have access to the same templated websites all over the world, will that is that already making our cultures less different from each other, and will our cities in the end also end up looking like the same templated cities?
That was something that I always think a lot. I'm from Korean. I am like in a really different culture, and whenever as a Korean need to like make an account, for example, in an Instagram, then I need to change my name into English, which is not my nature, my own language. So I kind of feel like this virtual environment is not like culturally fair or culturally diverse enough, even though there are lots of people from different culture. So I feel like I need to be a person who kind of like actively talk about there are more than like English-based people or English and for people. There are lots of different culture who are using the same website and who are struggling because of the different languages or because of the different way of reading the text and etc. So was that answer to the question? So like that is the big reason why I wanted to make more option and like remove the template or think about the website that is beyond the templates.
Thank you. I think John on the chat has a question. Or is that a question or is it a comment? I'll read it. Matilda's presentation about physical space, no space, and this presentation makes me think of metaverse real estate. Just curious to hear some of your thoughts on this new terrain in relation to power, like NFT real estate.
NFT. I'm scared of talk about this. Yeah. Again, I don't really feel like this virtual or the metaverse or the NFT, all these kind of things, power fair space, and like power in terms of power, this is not the space for everybody from different culture and different backgrounds. And that's something that we really need to talk about as we are moving to this virtual space, and as we are replacing so many physical space to the virtual stuff. Yeah, that's what I think. I just wanna let people know that even for those people who are not use it to this virtual environment, they kind of feel like they need to follow this technology without thinking. And I just want to let people know that we need to complain if you are feeling uncomfortable about this environment, and we need to rethink about this environment before we just follow the technology. I believe technology is still something that we can, as an independent person, we can change and motivate if we feel like this is not correct. even though there's like a huge corporation pushes you to like follow their own direction. So yeah, I do think that this is not correct right now.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, there is one in the back.
Oops. Hi. Oops. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for an amazing presentation and really strong work. I'm quite blown away. I just wanted to say, for those who don't know, I'm a teacher here at Beckmans, and I want to ask you if, I guess most people here that are students might not come here through like a more technical background, let's say. Do you have any kind of recommendations or ideas about if someone wants to kind of dig into technology or web design, web development, if there's any good, like, what would be a good first step? Let's say if you come from a more like, let's say, image making background or graphic design background, something like that.
I don't know. I taught myself, in terms of technology or the web code, I taught myself through YouTube and things like that. And I just want to say that this is like learning technology or learning about the knowledge about how to build a website or how to manage web environments is really easy. If you have like an interest, you can get like lots of resources out there. And it's like once you understand how the structure, then it's really easy to understand. That's why you can see like a lot of example in Instagram, for example, that play with that code and stuff like that. Was that answer to the question though?
Yeah, I was thinking if
Sorry, can you say it in the mic, please?
sorry. No, I was thinking if there were like any very hands-on, like let's say, courses, tutorials that kind of like this one thing on YouTube is revolutionizes like, that part of something like that, very hands-on kind of.
Yeah. Like, yeah, sorry, I received that question a lot, but I don't really have like a specific recommendation. I just keep answer the same. I just keep repeat the same answer that this is really easy. If you have like an interest, you can get like a lot of resources. It's like a really similar, like all the tutorials are really similar. And if you follow one of them, it's really easy to understand how to handle this code and technology. Sorry.
I think we'll take one from the online audience and then we'll get to Russ. So Johannes is asking, how do you think about stories or narratives between different projects? How does narrative influence the form and vice versa?
I always feel like whenever I'm building a website or the architectural shape of the website, I think about like content structure, and I always think that this is the storytelling architecture, if that makes sense. So it's a shape that tells about the story. So like whenever user navigate the space, user need to feel, before they feel like an architectural shape or before they feel like a virtual space, they need to first feel like they are listening to the story or they are navigating inside the story. So I kind of like trying to make a storytelling architecture thing. So like I wish that my website talks about the content to the user through the interaction and through the navigation.
Thank you. We had a question here.
Yeah, also blown away as well. For your websites, what languages are you using most often? Do you ever use processing? Are you always using JavaScript? Like, what is your go-to selection?
I always use JavaScript, and I sometimes use like a server-side code to like make a website that is working for different environments. But I use JavaScript, and I love coding from the scratch. So I love writing code one by one from the top to the bottom. That's something that I really fascinated in. Yeah.
And then we have John in the online audience again. He wants to know if you're giving dev workshops.
No.
Sorry, John.
Sorry. But I love making a workshop, conceptual workshop, which you, as you saw, like on collective websites or things like that. I don't really fascinated in like teaching development because, like, as I mentioned, it's really easy to learn. You can see like tons of resources in the YouTube. Yeah, and I'm not better than them.
Okay, so let's end at that. It's really easy to make these things.